Today, understand what happens when steadfastness is not maintained, when the germination is interrupted, not as a warning, not as a criticism, as a precise understanding, because interruption will occur. It is part of the experience of the thinker who lives in the physical world, and understanding precisely what happens during interruption and precisely what the return restores. This is the 7-minute daily focus, day 137 of 365, to focus on the world within from the world without. Today's focus, the law of germination, interrupted germination. Pause for a moment. 10 days in, steadfastness has been understood. The quality of the thinker who remains with both functions through what is physically seen. Today, understand what happens when steadfastness is not maintained, when the germination is interrupted, not as a warning, not as a criticism, as a precise understanding, because interruption will occur. It is part of the experience of the thinker who lives in the physical world, and understanding precisely what happens during interruption and precisely what the return restores, gives the thinker the clarity to return without delay. Pause. Germination is interrupted when both functions shift from within to without. When the first function no longer selects fertile ground from within, but moves to reactive ground shaped by conditions. When the second function no longer directs thinking upon the seed from within, but directs it upon what is physically seen. In that moment, the germination of the seed within pauses, the development that was advancing pauses. Not because the seed changed, the seed remains, complete, real, holding its full expression, not because the ground disappeared, the mind is still the ground, but because both functions are now directed elsewhere, and the germination cannot advance without them. Pause. What interruption does not do is as important as what it does. Interruption does not undo development. In the physical world, when germination is interrupted by difficult conditions, the root does not recede. The development that occurred remains. The root that pushed 2 inches is still 2 inches deep. When conditions improve and the farmer returns to tend the ground, the germination resumes from where it was, not from the beginning, and metaphysical germination is the same. Every act of sustained thinking upon the seed advances the development. That advancement is not lost when both functions shift away. It remains. When both functions return to within, the germination resumes from exactly where development reached, not from zero, from where development was. Pause. The form of interruption that matters most is the sustained interruption, not the brief moments of disturbance across a normal day, not the natural redirections that come from engaging with what is without, but the extended period, when both functions remain directed from without for days, when the morning practice is abandoned, when no deliberate return within is made, when the seed has not been placed before thinking with concentration. During this extended interruption, the development of the seed does not advance, the compounding stops. The gap between where the development is and where it could be grows in proportion to the length of the interruption. Not permanently, not irreversibly, but the gap is real, and discipline is what prevents it from forming. Pause. When both functions return to within after interruption, something precise occurs. The first function reselects the fertile ground. The reactive ground of the interruption is set aside. The mind returns to its natural alignment with what is within, and the second function redirects thinking upon the seed. The germination resumes from exactly where the development was. The return is not a defeat, the return is the practice. Every return after interruption demonstrates that the thinker has not abandoned the seed, that the germination is not dependent on circumstances being easy, that the two functions can return from without to within, regardless of what the physical world has been reporting. This is a demonstration of the authority of the thinker. The return is powerful. Pause. The trained thinker returns quickly, not after extended periods directed from without. Quickly, naturally, without drama, without excessive self-examination about the interruption, without the false belief that the development has been lost. Because the development has not been lost, the seed is still complete, the ground is still the ground. The development that occurred is still exactly where it reached. The return is simply the resumption. Both functions redirected from within, the germination continuing from precisely where it paused. Not doubtfulness, not struggle, not force. You are not pushing the seed, not pressure. You are not trying to make it happen, but steadfastness, focused. Remain aligned with what is within. Do not be moved by what is physically seen, because what is physically seen is always secondary to what is unfolding. Now, the affirmation for day 137. Pause for a moment. Interruption does not undo what has been developed. The seed remains complete. The ground remains. The development reached stands exactly where it was. When I return within, the germination resumes from where it was, not from the beginning. I return quickly, without self-criticism, without the belief that what was developed has been lost. The first function reselects the fertile ground. The second function redirects thinking upon the seed, both functions operating from within again. The germination resumes, the development continues from where it reached, and the compounding that interrupted germination paused, resumes and advances. I return, I remain, and the seed continues toward expression. Remember, by design, by focus,